Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. I apologize for the technical problems. I don't know if anyone else heard Mr. Barrett ask what this button was for just before we went off the air, but welcome again. Call the meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 50 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Access, Information, Privacy and Ethics. La réunion.
Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format pursuant to the House Order of June 23rd, 2022, and therefore members can attend in person in the room and remotely using the Zoom application.
Should any technical challenges arise, please advise me. Please note that we may need to suspend a few minutes as we need to ensure that all members are able to participate fully, and pursuant to Standing Order 108.3H and the motion adopted by the committee on Monday, November 14th, 2022, the committee is commencing its study of privacy concerns in relation to the ArriveCAN application. En avant de commencer, Madame.
Before we start, Madam Clerk, have microphones and headsets been tested? It should all be good, but we'll find out. Thank you. I would like to now welcome our witness today.
From Ibisca, Mr. Narinder Kabra, who is the president. Mr. Kabra, you have 5 minutes to address the committee, and I want to welcome you today and thank you for taking the time to be with us, Mr. Kabra. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you said, my name is Narinder Kabra. I'm the president of Ibisca Telecom, Inc. And Ibisca is an Ottawa-based consulting company which was incorporated in 1995. We have over 26 years experience working with the private industries as well as with the Government of Canada, providing consulting services in the areas of IT consulting services, which is information technology and information management consulting services. Our focus is all into the areas of either business side of it or program project management, or into the technology side, which is enterprise, or infrastructure, which includes cloud computing and data centers and networks. And we also do quite a bit of work on the cybersecurity and IT security services. And also we do business in the application I am architect. So Ibisca is qualified under the Government of Canada supply arrangement. Many of those are there right now, which is like T-BAPES, S-BAPES, or different names. And we have actually working with the Government of Canada with the multi-departments. We have a number of multi-million, multi-year contracts at this time. So providing services to many different departments at this time. This leads to me to talk about why I'm here right now, because I'm invited to speak over here as part of the ArriveCAN. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we are doing business with CBSA. CBSA on March 25th, 2021, issued a request for proposal to all what they call T-BAPES Tier 2 companies, which are there are approximately close to, I'm assuming, 80 to 100 companies which are qualified for the federal government to do business at that particular tier. And so they put a request for proposal during that time for the IT security services, which means they wanted to have a firm which can actually produce, work with them, and look at all their applications, all their data centers, all their systems or networks, so that they could be authenticated and authorized. So on May 10th, 2021, we responded back to the requirement, and in June 30th, we were awarded the contract by Public Works PWSC which is the total dollar amount for that contract is just over $8 million, but that does not include all the taxes. Including taxes, it's a $9.278 million. Since this is what they call omnibus contract, which means the CBSA asked us to provide the qualified resources so that they can actually go there and utilize them on any different applications or any different systems or any different networks, which will include anything to the cloud computing or anything like that. So we basically do not write the applications, we do not do the project management, we do not the business. The only thing we do with the CBSA is the cybersecurity, authentication, and authorization. So this brings, right now, I think what I wanted to say right now, the total contract is $8 million. These contracts are what they call a task-based contracts, which means a company cannot actually do any business until a task is issued to the company. So we have presently a number of different task authorizations from CBSA, which we provide consulting services to them, and they actually ask the individuals to work on these particular networks or systems or those or applications. So for the time being, I just want to say that looking at what we have right now, we have actually invoiced so far on this contract, even though the contract is $8 million, we have invoiced approximately 1.3 million, just a little bit less than $1.4 million since we got the contract June 30th, 2021. And out of that, which my understanding is that we have actually invoiced just over $101,000 on the ArriveCAN, which was until March 2022. Since that time, we have also invoiced approximately just over $80,000. So approximately we have, but there is also a part-time individual who actually was working on this contract is actually providing services right now to other applications as well. So I'm assuming that right now we might have actually approximately $200,000 as of end of this month, end of October.
Okay, Mr. Cabra, we're beyond the 5 minutes. I'm sure that there may be questions related to some of these issues that come up during the questioning.
Okay.
Just so you're familiar, sir, I understand that this is your first time before a parliamentary committee.
Right.
We will have 6-minute rounds to start. We'll be starting with Mr. Barrett on the Conservative side, going to the Liberal side, Monsieur Villemure with the Bloc, and then Mr. Green, and then there will be subsequent rounds after that. I do want to welcome a couple of members to the committee this morning. Ms. Kramp-Nyman is here, and Mr. Dong is here as well. So, that being said, I will start the round of questioning, first round, with Mr. Barrett for 6 minutes, please.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. So you listed the contract amounts that were awarded and the amounts that you've invoiced. I'm wondering, sir, if you'd be willing to provide to the committee those invoices that have been sent to the that your company has billed the government. Would you be willing to send those to the committee?
Those are obviously I do have to get a permission from the CBSA if I can do that. If they allow me to do that, yes, I will.
Okay, so we'd appreciate that, just for clarity, because you offered a few different numbers there, and CBSA has actually offered a few different numbers, and some of their numbers don't. Depending on the day, the number is different. So just want to make sure that we're getting a full picture of what was asked for, what was billed, and what was delivered. You said that you have a separate contract that you're doing for CBSA that is not related to ArriveCAN. Is that correct?
No. As I said, this is a contract for the overall any applications or any systems CBSA develop or in operation. Whenever they have introduced a new applications or a new system or network, there is always a process which the security check has to be done, authentication has to be done, security authentication and authorization to be done as part of the process. So what we have what they call omnibus contract, which they will request us, give us the resources, then these individuals will be used, whatever applications or any system they're developing at this time.
So all of the billing is for CBSA. That's your only business with the government?
No, sir. Now we have as I said, we have multi-million dollars other departments, many of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it possible that any of the work being done under any of the other contracts is contributing to the ArriveCAN project, or are they siloed and very distinct and unrelated?
There is no, because I really can't tell exactly. We do have a lot of number of contracts with Shared Services Canada. So we do have provide services to Shared Services Canada. We have no idea how these individual departments relate to each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you use any subcontractors?
Yes, we do.
And did you use any subcontractors on your work on ArriveCAN?
As I'm saying, we did not. As I'm saying, it's not our contract is not ArriveCAN. We have one consultant which was used by CBSA to do the security authentication and authorization.
So I'm not sure I understand. So the Canada Border Service Agency has said that you are a vendor of theirs on ArriveCAN. Is that correct?
Well, okay, I don't know, but when you say ArriveCAN, because we are also a vendor of them. For they have other, I think other projects. What they call it, the PCI project. They also have another project.
Sir, the CBSA has said they've given you $8 million.
That has nothing to do with the ArriveCAN.
Okay, well, they said they gave you $8 million for ArriveCAN.
Well, I don't know if they say that, but we are not doing ArriveCAN business for $8 million.
So did they give you $8 million?
We have $8 million to do multiple projects.
Okay.
ArriveCAN is one of them.
Okay.
Right there. So there are many others we have.
So is $8 million the total amount of business? Is that your full book of business with the government of Canada?
No, I just said we have a business with DFATE, we have business with SSC, we have business with National Defense, we have business with all the different countries.
It seems odd to me that the government would say that CBSA would say that they've paid you $8 million for ArriveCAN.
No, sir, they did not pay me $8 million. Okay, I don't think they even said that because we asked them. They said because what I saw in the Globe and Mail, it says $8 million.
Yes.
Which is obviously is incorrect. And then we did ask CBSA, where did you get that? They said, no, we did not say that. They said they have approximately $110,000. That's what my understanding was. So I'm not sure exactly where is that $8 million coming. $8 million is
I'm also not sure where the $8 million went.
Well, but sir, can I explain to you then how it works? The government gives you a contract. That doesn't mean that the contract is here. You can see if you want a copy of the contract, we can give you the contract. It says that the contract's this much. You have to authorize. We have to receive the task authorization to do any work. So government is not obliged to use the maximum. The minimum the government is obliged to do when they give a contract to the private industry, in this case, was $20,000. If they never use this contract, the government was only obliged to pay $20,000. The other thing is that if the government can come and say, okay, you guys get a contract right now with $20 million. We want you to do this. Then we're going to pay you this. We want you to do this. So this is the overall contract for over 2 years. The government can use, but that doesn't mean the companies can actually invoice.
That's my time. I appreciate it. I think we have a shared lack of understanding on where that $8 million went. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Next, we'll go to Ms. Hepner for 6 minutes. Ms. Hepner.
Thanks, Chair. And through you, I would like to thank this witness for joining us today. We know that it's intimidating sometimes to appear before a parliamentary committee, but we really appreciate your participation and your words here today. I'd like to start with asking about your company's history doing IT security with the government. It goes back to 2006, is that right?
No, since 1996.
Since 1996, your company has been doing IT security work for the government.
Sorry, no, it's just IT security business. No, in fact, we've been doing the IT security business around about 2000, and the government actually did what they call it, chose number of only companies which was able to provide IT security services. In 2006 was the first year they introduced which company they wanted to select. They selected 6 companies, so we were one of the 6 companies they selected to do business with them.
And so what type of security clearance do your IT security employees have?
IT security, our IT security employees, give an example, I did look at what the security clearance of all the people we have within the CBSA. We have so far provided 14 people to do that. And out of them, 8 of them has a top secret, and 6 of them had a secret.
And so when your company works on sensitive projects, what sort of measures does it put in place to ensure the integrity and security of those projects?
Well, first of all, like we obviously have to look at that these individuals security cleared. So what we do, any contract we do with the federal government, we hold their security clearance. As a company, we hold the security clearance. The reason we hold the security clearance because at any time, if the security clearance terminated, the security clearance, the public works, they do come to us. And then we have to terminate that. At that time, we know that the individual doesn't have a security clearance.
Did you personally use the ArriveCan app when it was mandatory for Canadian travelers?
Yes, I did.
And were you confident in the security of your personal information?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I'm wondering if you can talk about the error rate with this app. First of all, let me ask, do you know of any security or privacy breaches that ever happened with ArriveCan?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And so do you know anything about the error rate of the app?
I would not know.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. We've heard in question period a couple of times from the Conservative opposition that this type of application could be hacked together in a weekend. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that contention.
I really cannot talk much about that because we did not develop the applications because we had no involvement in the applications, and I don't know the complications, how complicated the application is. But I mean, I don't know, like the application developed for other departments, it does take much more time to do that. That's all I can say because I have no idea exactly what the application is. We do application development in other places like ISAD and DFA and other places. It does cost a lot of money.
Does it take more time when you're trying to ensure the security and privacy of people's sensitive personal information?
Definitely does.
Can you go into that a little bit more detail?
Well, first of all, like when the application is developed, obviously it has to be, people have to go testing, they have to go to verification, and then obviously they have to make sure that it actually meets all the criteria. And then only then the IT security specialists, they will actually say authorize the security clearance, security for the applications. So I mean, there are many different aspects of developing applications. I mean, I'm not that much familiar with that, but in a business, I don't do it personally, but there are different components which are being used right now.
Okay, thank you, sir. In our last meeting on this topic, we had a witness who said, I quote, "Do not deliver public services through apps and app stores, full stop." So from your experience working on IT projects, what do you think about that statement? Do you think the government should have modern ways of providing government services, or do you agree that we should never use an app?
Well, I mean, if you want to be third world country, I guess we don't use any apps, I guess. But I can tell you one thing. from my experience or our experience as a company, I tell you, like, like we do a lot of security business with the federal government. And it is, in Canada is one of the best countries to have a protected security data in the world, if you can say that. One of the, okay, if not the best. The CSIS has, CSEC has actually put the guidelines, all these kind of things, which means every department has to follow those things. And it all depends, everything is available for the individuals to do that, but it all depends, have they done it or not, kind of thing. Lately, the government has been very careful for the security point of view. And I think it's much more intensive nowadays. The security check is done on every application, every system. So, I mean, I feel personally very confident that we are very secure.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cabra. Monsieur Villemure,
Mr. Villemure, you have 6 minutes.
interpretation device on?
yeah, I do.
Oui, okay, Monsieur Villemure, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello, Mr. Cabra. Welcome to the committee, and thank you for being with us today. I will ask questions similar to my colleague on the right. Are you hearing interpretation? I just want to summarize to make sure that I understood. So your company concluded a contract of $8 million with the CBSA, correct? Yes or no?
We have a contract with CBS for $8 million, yes.
OK, c'est oui.
With this contract, $110,000 were spent on ArriveCAN.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Dans ce contrat,
In that contract, $110,000 were spent on the ArriveCAN application, correct?
I think I need the volume. I
The
can't
volume
hear.
may have to go up. S'il vous plaît. J'arrêtais le temps.
I stopped the time.
Sorry?
d'accord. À partir du contrat,
So, with that contract of $8 million, $110,000 of that was sent to the ArriveCAN project, correct?
As of March 2022, we invoiced, if you want, $101,867.
puis votre contrat vous obligeait
And your contract obligated the government to spend $20,000, correct?
I'm having a hard time hearing this, sorry. If I put it,
les termes du contrat.
The terms of that contract with the government, it stated that you would receive $20,000 even if there were no other billing. There was no other billing, correct?
OK. Vous savez, je comprends pas.
You received the contract of $8 million. Did you do anything else other than ArriveCAN?
yes, we did. As I said, we have invoiced for approximately $1.4 million. The rest of the work is all other than ArriveCAN.
OK. Et puis, c'est parce que j'ai de la difficulté.
I'm just having a hard time understanding. There's $8 million, $110 for ArriveCAN, and more contracts for $1.4 million. If you could just clarify, because I don't understand.
CBSA has not only one application, I don't know exactly how many they have. One is called CARM application, the other one is called CPI CAP applications, and there are many other applications they have, or the projects they have, or they're introducing new systems and all these things. And every one of those has to go through the security authentication and authorization. Because that's the part of the process the government has introduced, which is the TBS guidelines. So they have to be done that process. So we do have consultants who actually are being required to go through the whole process. So it's not only ArriveCAN is only one application, because there are many other projects and applications. That's what we actually get involved with, every application and every systems with CBSA.
Donc, plusieurs applications.
So multiple apps were developed for $1.2 million, correct?
I'm assuming so, yeah.
OK.
Apps or systems.
OK. Et puis la balance.
And what of the rest of the contract? Are there any plans for it?
Yes, it is ongoing. But the contract, our contract, as I said, is initially for 2 years, which expires in June 2023, and there are three one-year option periods, which the government can decide to, exercise it, yeah, if they would like to, yeah.
Et puis,
And for ArriveCAN, what exactly did you do?
As I said, what our consultant did is when the application was developed, or maybe I'm not completely familiar with that, but or there's any additions are done or any changes are done, and every aspect of that, when you make a change to the applications or to the systems, then they have to go through the security authentication and authorization. So that's the process. Every time you do that,
Okay.
you have to pretty well go through the process.
avez-vous développé.
Did you develop ArriveCAN?
Vous l'avez pris dans quel état?
What state was it in when you got it?
What date our contract started on?
No, I think, excuse me, but I think Mr. Villemure said what state was the, like, at what point of development, I assume, or what state was it in when you were contacted by the CBSA?
ArriveCAN, I have no idea because we were not involved with the ArriveCAN applications. So
vous avez reçu.
our individual consultants start working in October 2021.
Mais ils ont travaillé sur quoi?
But what did you work on?
As I said, like what we worked on is the security, authentication, and authorization of the applications.
OK, donc votre implication.
So you only did security.
OK. Puis, donc,
So for the protection of personal data, what were the precautions that you took?
As I'm saying, we were not involved with the applications, and we
Okay.
were not involved with the developing the applications. So we were actually able to test the application. It does work.
d'accord. Merci, M. le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will give the floor to my colleague.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Villemure.
We're going to go to you next. You have 6 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. And I would also like to join my colleagues in welcoming you to this committee. Sir, you're probably hearing a little bit of confusion and frustration in terms of being able to unpack your role in all of this. And I'm getting an early sense.
Excuse me, Mr. Green. We're having trouble hearing you, so it looks like you've got your microphone down. Maybe you can just speak up a little bit more if you don't mind. And I have stopped the clock.
Happily, how's that?
Still hollow. I don't know.
I can make it a little
Okay.
louder in the room, but
You want it closer? How's that?
That's much better where you had it there.
Okay.
Okay. You just give me a number test here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's perfect. Thank you. I'm going to restart your time, Matt.
Thank
Okay. But I'm going to give you 6 minutes. Okay. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so just going back to those earlier comments, sir, you're hearing some confusion around your role in this. It feels to me intuitively as a comment, as an opening comment, that perhaps if the government had been better in communicating the nature of this particular contract, we may not be here today. That some of this is still, being unpacked months later, I think is a testament to the lack of the ability to kind of come to terms with the total price and what that means. So I'm going to ask some basic questions, some of which have been asked, but just for my own edification. When you talk about a task-based contract, you reference it as an omnibus, referring to all the other scope of work that you had. That's, just to be clear, you have not received $8 million. That's just the scope of work for which you would then have sign off from the government task by task, which you identified as being about at 100 $180,000. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So you have not received $8 million.
The only thing, $8 million is a piece of paper. That's where it is.
Correct.
It's
Just the contract.
it's a contract. It's a commitment.
So
from,
in other words, it's like a retainer, or it's like a scope of work that piece by piece you would then go through and bill back to the government and then receive the payment.
Yeah.
Okay. So were you provided any direction from the government regarding what the application or what your scope of work must include?
No, the only thing we do get a statement of work from the government, because since it's omnibus, they cannot actually put every applications or every system which they're going to develop in the future. What they're asking is that the people who are qualified can do these particular tasks, which are applicable to almost every application of every systems. Who are those people? So provide those people to us, and then they will actually assign the work to them while they are there. So when they go there, first thing they go and meet with them. Okay, this is where you are. They're meeting with them. Tell us how much you're going to time. You're going to you do this, and you finish with this particular project.
Correct.
You move to the next one. To move to the next one, to the next one.
Okay, that satisfies me. Thank you. And I'm wondering, you had mentioned that cybersecurity was the subject matter expertise that you're providing to this contract. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Are there any other parts of the $8 million contract outside of the $110,000 used for development that are used for costs related to other aspects of ArriveCAN? For instance, updates, maintenance, operation, indirect costs?
No, we were not involved in that at all.
So initially, the government contemplated in this procurement that ArriveCAN would require $8 million set aside for cybersecurity. Is that your testimony here today?
No, as I said, our contract it has nothing to do with the ArriveCAN. As I said, this is omnibus, which means the government, the CBSA issued the requirement that they need resources which actually can do the cybersecurity for any of the requirements they will have over the next 5 years.
Correct. So that's inclusive of all products that you're offering the government.
No, not the government, to the CBSA.
CBSA. My apologies.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
So when fulfilling your contract, what considerations for privacy did you have within the contract for the Government of Canada in relation to ArriveCAN?
Privacy, obviously, as I said, all our consultants are minimum security cleared, and most of them are top secret security cleared.
So the highest level of privacy and security you were offering them in terms of the service?
Definitely we do, yeah.
Okay.
If I could say that most of our people who are working within the cybersecurity area are either top secret or secret. We don't have anybody. Most of them, they are at that level.
I might jump off the technological diving board here for a moment because I'm not a technical expert, but I would ask you if you would be willing to share with us some examples of the types of tasks that your consultant would have done for the initial $100,000+
To you, but this is a very generic kind of thing, which. So a task will be, it says, attend a kickoff meeting with CBSA technical authority to discuss the objectives and requirements, provide advice and guidance in meeting discussion, focus on writing regarding IT security topics as required, develop IT security vision papers, strategic assessment, and policy standards. Collect, collate, prioritize IT security and information infrastructure protection requirements, perform information security implementation process activities for CBSA protected and classified information as identified by CSEC, IT Security Risk Management, a life cycle approach, which is called ITSG 33, and develop and prepare project management document to support projects using PwC shared services procurement tools, services such as collective procurement solution process, joint process by procurement solution, smart procurement process, analysis and integrate of IT security control throughout the technical solution architecture design, and conduct oral presentation and briefing to CBSA senior management.
Thank you, Mr. Cabra. I appreciate
Mr. Chair,
that. Go ahead.
May I just request that, given that he's got that already printed out, if you might be willing to leave that with committee for the consideration of our analysts? He's already read it in.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Cabra, it's all on the public record. I'm sure you have no problem supplying that to the committee.
I do have some other notes on that one, but what I can do, I can actually send an email to you guys.
That would be terrific, sir. Thank you. We're going to move on to, is that okay, Matt? Yep. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next round, which is 5 minutes. We're going to be starting with Mr. Kirk. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Cabra, for coming before the committee today. And I'm curious a little bit of I'm very curious for some more details. So if you could table that documentation you've referred to, and you've also mentioned a number of meetings and whatnot. And I think it would be valuable for the committee to be able to see this, just to understand some of the scope that's included. So my question specifically, though, if I'm understanding correctly, and within the scope of work that your company was contracted to do, was it when the security incidents were brought forward? Is that when your company was brought in to fix them? Because it's a pay. You're basically paid when you're asked to do work. So can you provide a little bit of detail as to when your company would have been asked to actually do the work?
As I said, no, it is not when the incidents are there. As I'm saying, when the applications are developed,
Yeah.
or the systems are developed, or
Yeah.
or any changes to be made, the security aspect has to be there, because otherwise we will not be secure.
So does your company design the security side of that, or test it, or what exactly is your company's role in the security side of things?
So what we got, as I said, we do consulting services, so we provide resources to the government who have the expertise to do all these things. So they are actually at the customer site, and if the customers want them to do the testing, they will do the testing, right? So if the requirement of, for example, there is a vulnerability assessment are done, it may require actually individuals to go and test the system or communication lines. Sometimes people have to do that.
So if I could, if you're hired to test for vulnerabilities, security, do you then provide a report to the government, or what's the process that actually that the government asks you to come and conduct a service, so a vulnerability assessment,
Yeah.
and then what happens after you've done that assessment?
So there's always a deliverables, which actually the individuals write the report, everything else.
Okay.
So there's a deliverable part of that, and that's what delivered to the government. Yes.
Okay, so it's the deliverables on that I'm very curious about, because this is incredibly sensitive information that is that's being compiled and brought into this app, and we heard some concerns about web-based versus app-based and the use of Apple and Play Store. So I'm just curious as to the results of that, and when you talk about deliverables, do you provide an assessment, or is there do you give it an A+ or an F-, or what is the end result there?
Yeah, I think as I'm saying, it's called a security assessment. Yes, assessment is done, and authorization.
Okay, so those assessments, is that something like a document that you would then email to your customer, in this case CBSA?
No, in fact, we don't email it. Actually, it's written. The consultant will actually, because we are not privy to a lot of information.
Right.
Because this is a private. Obviously, when they're developing applications, as a company, we are not privy to that. However, individual consultant who work on a particular project or applications, they will actually provide that document to them.
So at the end of this assessment, this consultation, there'd be a document that has something that would be filled out that says yes, it is secure, or no, it's not, or A could be improved, but B was acceptable. Is that I'm trying to understand here? Is that
that's my understanding? Yeah.
Okay, so your company doesn't maintain those records. It's CBSA that has them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We cannot keep in mind these are secret documents. Okay, so they are secret documents. The
Okay.
companies cannot actually keep it unless you got a document safeguarding facility.
So is it evaluating work that's been done by CBSA in-house? Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so then that's done presumably on site. So would they go to a border station, or would they be doing it from their office, or how do they know what they're evaluating?
I would not know where they would be. Most likely they will be at a customer side, wherever the customer wanted them to work with them.
Okay,
Sorry, Mr. Kirk. Next, we have Mr. Baines for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Cabra, for joining us today and providing a wealth of information here on the security side. You mentioned that most of your work is based on the security and authentication, and you also indicated lately that Canada's security has been intensive and even best in the world. Can you sort of expand on that? Like, how lately has that work been done compared to maybe, say, when you first began and you've been doing this work for many years?
Well, as you know, that with technology has changed over the number of years, and we have been involved in the security side of it for many years. There has been changes happening over the number of years. In the past, people used to call a threat and risk analysis. So that was what are the threats, what are the risks, and how to mitigate those kind of things. Nowadays, it's much more into the areas of anything you develop, anything you try to data or anything people are trying to develop nowadays. People are looking in nowadays to authenticate and authorize in every stage of the system, which is not only the technical side of it, the business side of it. So, as I'm saying, CSEC has been really involved with the different things, and they do actually put the guidelines for the whole government department. So, as the technology has changed, obviously the process of security has also changed so far.
Yeah, and in your view, like, those measures were taken with the ArriveCAN app?
Understanding that it was done, yes.
Okay. And then, are you aware the Privacy Commissioner reviewed the ArriveCAN app and found no major concerns? Is that right? Did that information come back to you?
I'm not aware of that, so I can't comment on that.
Sure. In a letter to the opposition critics, the Privacy Commissioner wrote that we are satisfied that exceptionally strong measures have been adopted to ensure that the identity of users is protected and not disclosed to the Government of Canada. Can you explain, like, what those measures were or how those work?
I guess I cannot comment too much on those things because, as I said, our involvement with the ArriveCAN was making sure the application is working is secure. That's all I can say that.
Okay, and then how many employees do you have? And how many of them worked on the ArriveCAN app? I think you may have mentioned earlier. Directly on the app.
Best of my knowledge, one person.
Just one person. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all the questions I have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Baines. Monsieur Villemure, vous avez...
Mr. Villemure, you have 2.5 minutes for your questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions.
On va retourner à Monsieur.
We'll move back to Mr. Green.
Do you have any questions?
Je suis fini.
I am done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. We have no more questions on the Conservative side. Over on the Liberal side. Okay, Mr. Fergus, you do have a 5-minute round.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. Mr. Cabra, for coming in here today, and I do appreciate the work that you do and your knowledge that you bring to the authentication process and the security process for the work that you were contracted to do. Mr. Cabra, if I could speak frankly, we have seen before this committee that we've perhaps not been too kind to business people who have been called to testify here, and it's hardly a reputational boost for the committee as a whole, or perhaps certain politicians in particular. In your line of work, I'm certain that any insinuation that you're being investigated by the House of Commons Privacy and Ethics Committee would be unnerving. At least I think it would be unnerving to me. And I want to give you a chance to set the record straight as to how you think that future potential clients who might be watching today, and how can we reassure them to take us seriously, as politicians trying to investigate, frankly, the excellent work that you've done. And
I guess the only thing I can say that, as I said, we do. I mean, obviously, we do business. We do a lot of business with the federal government. I think just to give you, I can tell you, like, CBSA, our business CBSA is less than 2%. Okay, so we do business with many different departments, many different. And we provide services to national defense, many different high security departments. And the only thing I can say that when we do talk to other departments or the private industry, the federal government is much more protected, I guess, information than you can talk about the private industry, for example. It's very well, it's very well developed. The security aspect of the applications and systems, those kind of in the federal government in Canada is very well developed. Plus, I think at the same time, I think Canada we are fortunate to be living in Canada that we can have an open government. And I think we do respond a lot of these ETHI requirements, which comes to us, which we do that. So we at least we find that this is also open government. We do provide that information. So it's nothing hidden. On this contract, any task authorization comes for us right now. The only thing we will not give for the comparative purpose or somebody's name because of the privacy. Other than that, every information is available to when people ask for the ATIP. It's all there. So I think we're looking at Canada right now having a security aspect of the thing that I feel we're very well protected. At the same time, I don't mind people coming here to be honest with you because at least this is open, people can question. When you can question, then at least, something might come out of this thing. If something is not working, at least, we can correct it. So we can have lessons learned in this case. So I feel, pretty privileged to be here. That we are very well protected here.
well, thank you for reminding us that Mr. Cabra, that we do live in an open society and we can have those questions asked. But I do appreciate you coming here today. appears to me, again, speaking frankly, that you might not have been the right person who we should have invited to this committee here today, but we thank you for the work that you did do, and we thank your frankness in responding to us openly.
I'm also glad to say that, like the news in the news media to say we have got $8 million. I wanted to clear my name also here too.
Of course.
So that we did not get $8 million.
Right. And I think that was a very important point to make, and we will make sure that that's reflected in the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fergus. That concludes the round. I am going to see if Mr. Kirk, do you have one more thing you'd like to add quickly?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair, and I do appreciate Mr. Cabra, and I know for many of us, sometimes the interplay between technology and everything is a challenging subject, and I'm glad you had a chance to talk, and appreciate your comments as well, and certainly there's certainly more questions that I have for the government about the way that they've reported on the contracts that you've had, but Mr. Chair, I would move actually a motion, if I could, that pursuant to Standing Order 108(1)A, the committee orders the Canada Border Service Agency to produce all reports, briefs, and memoranda written by IBISK and its consultants related to the ArriveCAN application, and that they be submitted to committee within 2 weeks of the adoption of this motion.
Okay, has the motion been circulated?
It is not. I just read it into the record for the first time, and I'd be happy to speak to it if it's in order.
Okay, so we have got just a few minutes left for this business. We have got committee business that we need to get to. The motion's on the floor. I'll allow you to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to thank the witness, because some of the technical details that were asked, and the process of trying to, get to the bottom, and specifically, Mr. Chair, I would note just the details of the services that.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order.
Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
Chair, would there be consensus to excuse the witness?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I was just getting to that.
Okay, so I do. We will do that before we discuss it. The other thing that I would keep in mind on the motion itself is the fact that we can't compel a private business to submit something in both of the official languages. We can have it translated, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Mr. Cabra, I really want to thank you for being here today, sir. I know it was said a couple of times that often your first time in front of a parliamentary committee can be intimidating, but I want you to be assured that you accorded yourself very, very well today, sir. So I want to thank you for that, and on behalf of Canadians, thank you for being here today. So we'll dismiss the witness. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to return back to Mr. Kurek. Let's see if we can get through this quickly.
Thank you, Chair, and appreciate the discussion that we've had today, and the reason why I moved the motion that I did is I think the testimony was very, very helpful, and certainly for myself understanding the specific privacy implications that we're addressing here. When certainly conservatives and media have been asking questions about ArriveCAN and when it comes to the scope of this committee's study, the privacy implications of that, and then the other day some lobbying implications, which of course is within the scope of this committee as well. I think that the reason why I moved the motion that I did is because the witness talked about his team, the level that they go to ensure that their clients, and in this case the Canada Border Services, is given a high quality product. But as the witness articulated, he said that they don't actually keep those evaluations and whatnot. They're hired to conduct a service, and that service is fulfilled, and then that documentation is left to ensure that they're fulfilling the obligations related to privacy and security on their company's end of things. But now I think the focus needs to, I would suggest rightfully, moved to the CBSA. So I would urge that I think it's quite reasonable. My understanding would be, if I am interpreting the testimony, that it's not actually a private business's record. It's a record that would be within the CBSA's system, since they are the ones that hired the private contractor. In this case, the company that the previous witness has to fulfill a service. So that's the CBSA that is responsible for that. So I think that it would be very helpful, especially for privacy implications, if we could see that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kirk. Motion's on the floor. Do we have any other discussion on the motion? Can we find Mr. Dong?
I'm not a regular member to this committee, but as a normal practice, could that motion be emailed to us, and maybe we take like a couple of minutes break, and so we can have a discussion?
We only have the English version, Mr. Dong, so it would take us a few minutes to translate it.
I'd agree the motion again. I'd be happy to do so.
Would that satisfy you, Mr. Dong? Mr. Fergus?
I'm always believing in consent. Excuse me. I do believe in, of course, consensus and trying to make it work. But Mr. Kirk, you'll have to forgive me. At the beginning of this Parliament, and as a Quebec member, I'm just reluctant to do that because if we start now, when we're all in agreement and we're all doing it in good faith, I would just hate for this to become a habit because then I know which language, official language, ends up being on the losing end of this. So you'll.
Mr. Fergus, if it's helpful, the interpreters do have the English language. They can interpret it in French if that's helpful to you, and if it's.
Or what I would suggest is that we take a pause for a couple of minutes. We come back in committee business and we deal with it. Then I'm certain that Mr. Kirk can lean on some resources in this party to circulate it in both official languages.
Okay.
Point of order.
Go ahead, Mr. Green, on your point of order.
This is an ad-hand motion on a topic relevant to the witnesses in the studies.
Not looking to delay the debate.
There's nothing procedurally out of hand by having somebody, speak a motion on record, and I'm not clear. Like I'm concerned now. There's a precedent where anytime there's an ad-hand motion, there's going to be this suggestion that we have to have it distributed, and that's simply not the case.
I appreciate the intervention, Mr. Fergus. Just to speed things along a little bit better, is it okay? And I'm gonna seek Mr. Villemure's concurrence on this as well. Is it okay if we have the interpreter read it into the record so that you can understand it? Okay, so the clerk has just advised that she's got the text at this point, so that's helpful.
To everybody?
I would like it to be distributed in English and French. So we're going to, and I know that Mr. Fergus is not intending on delaying this, and we just need to make sure that everybody's clear on what they're voting on. Why don't we suspend for just a minute? Thanks. Okay, we're back. My understanding is that everybody has received Mr. Kirk's motion. Is there any other discussion on Mr. Kirk's motion? Mr. Barrett.
Yeah, Chair. No, I don't think there's any other discussion on the motion, it having been circulated, and we're ready for a vote as soon as.
Well, I'm actually looking to see if we can get any consensus on this before
that'd
we get to
that'd be great.
before we get to a vote.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Chair,
Go
Chair,
ahead,
if I could
Mr.
just,
Kirk.
I know I can't amend my own motion, but just having a conversation just to expand the timeline to 3 weeks, just to ensure that there's enough time for the documents to be found. I'd be happy to have that. I know I'm not allowed to amend my own motion, but I'd be happy to receive either that from someone or whatever the case is.
Thank you, Mr. Kirk. It's funny what can happen over a dinner table.
Exactly.
Discussion. Mr. Kirk is proposing that that we push the time. If everybody's in agreement with that, then we'll push the timelines back to what he proposes. Are we good with that?
I say we put it back until, what was
3 weeks.
3 weeks, as we suggested.
Well, then, you know, I hope we're not coming in over the Christmas holidays.
3 weeks instead of 2.
Well, I
I'm
think
just trying to keep everything on track
business,
here, so
it'd be business days, right? So that's
okay. Let's keep the conversation between us. So we got 3 weeks.
Are we in public or in?
We're in public right now. So 3 weeks. Do we have consensus on that? I'm going to look around the room. I'm not seeing any shaking of the heads. I see Mr. Green. So it'll be pushed back to 3 weeks rather than 2. We have consensus on the motion. There's no need for a vote. So I'm going to adjourn the public part of the meeting, and we are going to come back in camera, and I'm going to remind Mr. Green that you have to sign back in, sir. Anybody else? Ms. Sachs, Mr. Baines, everyone that's online will have to sign back in. So the public portion is adjourned.
Thank you.
We're now in public as a result of a motion that was passed by the committee. Mr. Villemure, vous avez la...
Mr. Villemure, you have the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be reading the motion that the committee undertake, pursuant to Standing Order 1083H, a study of foreign interference, particularly in the 2021 federal election, through the use of funds from foreign-influenced organizations affiliated with the United Front of the Communist Party of China and the threats to the integrity of democratic institutions, intellectual property, and the Canadian state itself that arise from this foreign interference. And finally, that the committee report to the House.
Okay, the motion has been moved. It's on the floor. Mr. Villemure, do you have anything you want to say?
Oui, savez...
Mr. Chair, this motion seeks to examine the integrity of the state. Global published something on this about 10 days ago, and it causes a lack of trust in the Government of Canada. And through this motion, I would like for us to dissolve any doubt so that that integrity is not questioned or that corrective measures be implemented, because our work at the Ethics Committee, and there are a lot of things that we work on, but to ensure the public's trust in the democratic institution is our fundamental mission.
See, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Villemure.
Monsieur Fergus.
Mr. Fergus, you have the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, I am quite open to studying the matter of Chinese interference in the election of 2021. I would be probably the first person to support my colleague René's motion. I am a member of another parliamentary committee that is currently studying the matter. I'm trying to find the study and the reference to foreign interference in the election of 2021, because that's currently being studied at Brock. We've heard presentations on this. The Chief Electoral Officer spoke about this. We have a long list of witnesses. As you know, or rather, Mr. Chair, I don't think it is recommended to redo the work of another committee on the same topic, or with almost the same parameters for the study. So I wonder, and I would ask my colleague, in what way would this study differ from the other study that has essentially the same parameters? I can read it. I have it in front of me in English. I'll see if I can find it in French. I have it in English. It's quite long, more complex as well, but it does take into account what we're looking at here.
Pursuant to Standing Order 1083A6, conduct a study concerning foreign interference in Canadian elections, provided that A, the Chief Electoral Officer and the Commissioner of Elections Canada be invited to appear jointly for 2 hours at a televised meeting at their earliest opportunity. B, that the Chief of the Communication Security Establishment and Director of Canadian Security Intelligence Service be invited to appear jointly for 2 hours at the earliest opportunities, provided that 1 hour be televised and the other hour be in camera. That parties represented on the committee submit their lists of proposed witnesses in order of priority, and I can continue. Mr. John, sorry, Mr. Chair, we're doing this, and it would just be a real, I think, an inefficient use of our time if we were to take this on. And if there, anyhow, I look to my colleagues to explain how this differs from the other one, and if that's the case, then fine. But I don't think in any, not just in any real pertinent, d'une façon pertinente.
I don't know that there's a relevant difference between the two.
Mr. Fergus, thank you for that. It's a fair question. I don't know whether Mr. Villemure wants to address that or not, but I would give the floor to Mr. Villemure.
I'll be brief, Mr. Chair. I have heard my colleague's argument. However, there are two elements that I find concerning. The PROC committee will shortly be studying something that will move their current study to a future date. The perspective that we would bring is complementary to the perspective of the Procedures Committee. So I don't think that we are, in fact, duplicating what's being done there. I think that we have the opportunity to go further more quickly.
Chair, I remember I was saying that it was a long one, and of course my internet research wasn't as quick as some other people's. There was a second motion which was also passed at our motion, which is much longer, which again I think, and forgive me again for doing this, is that we passed a motion that was adopted by my colleague. It says that, A, given the Global News report published by Sam Cooper on November 7th, 2022, revealing that intelligence officials informed the Prime Minister and several cabinet ministers in July of 2022 that the Chinese Communist Party actively worked to influence the 2019 federal election, the committee extended study of the foreign election interference by 4 meetings to investigate this report. B, the committee recall Elections Canada, CSIS, and the Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections, that's the SITE task force, to testify on the report referenced in A. C, the committee invite the Honourable Dominic Leblanc, Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Infrastructure and Communities, to testify on the report referenced in paragraph A. D, the committee invite the Honourable Mélanie Joly, Minister of Foreign Affairs, to testify on the report referenced in paragraph A. E, the committee invite Jody Thomas, National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister, to testify on the report referenced in paragraph A. F, the committee ordered the production of 1, all relevant briefing notes, memoranda, and documents which are in the possession of the relevant government departments and agencies, provided that 2, the departments and agencies tasked with gathering these documents apply redactions according to the Access of Information and Privacy Act. And 3, these redacted documents be deposited as soon as possible, but not later than 14 days after the adoption of this motion, with the clerk of the committee to be distributed to all members of the committee in both official languages. And that was a motion that was adopted. It's pretty complete. It's also pretty tight, 4 meetings, extra meetings. Again, I appeal to my colleague, please don't make me repeat my work. Again, give me new things to work on, because I do sit on PROC and I sit on ethics, and it's the exact same thing. I think it really is a doubling of work of members of Parliament, and that shouldn't be on.
Thank you, Mr. Fergus. Mr. Dong.
Thank you, Chair. It's by pure coincidence that I showed up today, and if memory serves me correct, in 2020, I moved a similar motion, and then now I have the text in front of me, and I'll just share. And I'm sure that the members of this committee will find it amusing. It was November 16, 2020. I moved that the committee study ways to further protect Canada's democratic and electoral institutions from cyber and non-cyber interference. This includes studying how new democratic and international new domestic and international stakeholders, as well as other orders of government, can work together to strengthen Canada's whole of society preparedness, resilience, and civic engagement in the face of evolving threats to democracy. And the NDP permanent member at the time was Mr. Angus. He responded that Mr. Dong's motion does not belong at our committee. When Minister Gould brought the issue of electoral protection, she did not send that to the Ethics Committee. She sent it, I believe, you disagreed? Probably to PROC. Electoral issues have nothing to do with our committee. And later he added that just so that we don't waste any more time, I believe the issue of election preparedness is something that is under the mandate of PROC. Could you determine if that is the case so that we are not tying up the committee with something that is not within our mandate? And that was a question to the chair. So I guess with that, I want to ask the chair your thoughts on whether or not it fits in the mandate of this committee, the current chair. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting question, Mr. Dong, because I have had the opportunity to look at the motion, and I've had the opportunity to speak to the clerk as well. And the mandate of the committee, as defined, is fairly broad in terms of what we can study as far as privacy and ethics. And so I'm of the opinion that the motion is in order and that this committee can, in fact, study this issue based on the motion that's been provided by Monsieur Villemure. So that would be my position on this particular motion. Go ahead, sir.
Now it's coming back to me. I remember the time that I actually, one of the reasons why I moved that motion was that at the time, following the Ontario election in 2018, there was investigation and actually conviction of 60,000, I think was 407 clients' information was shared, and it was used by a certain party for their electoral advantage. So, at the time, that was the reason why. So my point is, it was investigated. It was people were convicted. So at the end of that, I call for a study on the incident. So again, I'm not a permanent member of this committee anymore, but my memory is my impression of this committee at the time is that when you run parallel investigations, there may or may not be an investigation ongoing right now. I don't know. If there isn't, then there is no point of studying. But if there is an investigation, a covert investigation, and I don't know if this committee will be helpful to run something similar, may jeopardize the result of or the process of the investigation. That's all.
Okay, I appreciate the intervention. I'm not seeing any further discussion on this, so I am going to ask whether we have consensus, and if not, then we can go to a vote. Madam Clerk?
Deux motions qui examinent en profondeur.
The interpreter would like to note that the microphone wasn't on, so she didn't hear the beginning. I would like to think that our lens could be different. The expertise that I bring to the committee is different than what they have at PROC, and that is why I believe it's important, because we all agree that it's important. We're not in disagreement here. But I would like for us to have the opportunity to have a different perspective on such a complex issue. Will it lead to the same results? I don't think so. But if that were the case, I think we could still be satisfied that an issue of such a size had been properly examined.
Okay, so Mr. Fergus, I offered that up as a point of clarification to you, to Mr. Villemure. I had already seen that there were no other hands that were
Mr.
up.
Chair, my hand is up.
It's up now, but it wasn't up earlier when I called for the vote. So I want to make that perfectly clear. I see your hand now, but when I went to Mr. Fergus, the hand was not up. So you asked as a point of clarification.
Mr. Chair, respectfully, it's a little bit challenging sometimes with the room in the back and forth. I hadn't realized you had called the vote.
Right.
Just for clarity.
Right.
I appreciate your point, and just to clarify, thank you.
Thank you. So Mr. Villemure offered a point of clarification to you, Mr. Fergus. I'm going to accept that as a point of clarification. I'm going to ask if we have consensus, and if we don't have consensus, then I'm going to go to the vote, and I'm going to ask the clerk to call the vote. Okay? Madam Clerk. So just to clarify that, Ms. Sachs, maybe I did miss your hand. The clerk had seen your hand, so I want to make sure that I give you the opportunity to if you have something to say, then I want to give you that opportunity to say it. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate it. And just to clarify, I don't believe you actually called the vote. I don't recall hearing it, but that aside, I appreciate us being able to walk back the time. I just want to lean in onto a little bit on the concern of doubling, but also I appreciate my colleague, Mr. Villemure's unique perspective and expertise as a professor of ethics. There's no question that's extremely valuable, but I'd like to ask, and this was part of, actually, I had a point of clarification with him. There's nothing preventing him from actually going to PROC and participating in the discussions there and offering that lens within what is a fulsome, comprehensive study at that committee, so that we're not wasting valuable House resources and time and what's happening in this committee. I've done it many times. I've joined committees on pieces of legislation or issues of interest that I have expertise in. And through you, Mr. Chair, I would just like Mr. Villemure to let me know if he's actually considered that opportunity, that it's availed to him as a member of this chamber, and the ability to attend and participate in other committees. We've done that quite collaboratively on other tables, and I'm not really sure if he's considered that, so that we can actually focus on the work of committee here. And it seems that PROC is the appropriate place for this study, and I'd just like to ask that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Tu veux expliquer?
Would you like to explain, Mr. Villemure? I think this is the right forum to assess the issue, and it goes beyond PROC.
Merci, Monsieur Villemure.
Thank you, Mr. Villemure.
I see Mr. Fergus's hand. Yep. Well, I allowed Ms. Sachs, so as far as I'm concerned, the debate is continuing right now. So if you have anything additional you'd like to add, Mr. Fergus, then go ahead.
Well, again, excuse-moi, je vais m'adresser through you, Monsieur Villeneuve. Monsieur Villeneuve, la question que moi...
Mr. Villemure, the question that I have is to know, are there witnesses that we haven't invited to PROC that you think we should invite? What is not satisfying to you about PROC's study? Is there an angle that we're not examining that you would like for us to examine? Because if that's the case, again, we can do that. honestly, this duplication, what does it bring us? Because you stated that you want to bring a new perspective to it, but you haven't defined this new perspective. Everything is possible with the Procedures Committee. We're still currently examining this study, and we just recently added 4 more meetings. I can't make reference to what we discussed in camera, but I can tell you that our calendar is already quite full, and I'm not sharing any secrets in so saying. We have files that we need to focus on. And I don't think that there's anything else that we can do. If there is, let me know. Share this with Ms. Gaudreau. We could easily add this to our PROC study. It's a very important file. Nobody's denying this. It's something that I had supported to have that study, but to study it at 2 different committees, it doesn't make any sense. So, I'm asking you, if and as somebody who works with the meaning of words and ideas, if you have anything that you would like to add, you can let me know. That way I can ensure that it is mentioned at PROC. If that's the case, Mr. Chair, then I would implore my colleagues, please do not try to duplicate work that's already being done elsewhere.
Thank you. Merci, Monsieur Fergus.
Thank you, Mr. Fergus.
Villemure.
Mr. Villemure, do you have anything to add? I have 2 hands in the air, Ms. Sachs and Ms. Hefner. I'll wait to hear the other comments. Thank you. It is 6:30 now.
To finish at 6:30, but if you we're going to continue, so I have Ms. Sachs.
I'd like to offer, I will be frank, I don't feel like I've gotten some clarity on the justification for doubling today. But that being said, I don't want to, I don't want to prevent us from having a fulsome discussion on it. And I recognize House Resources and our translators, the hours late on a Wednesday. I'm wondering if there is a contemplation or a willingness of the committee to adjourn now and continue this discussion in our subsequent meeting, just because I still have questions I want to ask about this. I'm a bit frustrated, frankly, Mr. Chair. We're already doubling up on the OGO ArriveCAN. And I'll be frank, there's work we need to get done here, and it's just keeps getting pushed off with the doubling of resources. And I don't think it does justice to the skills and the expertise of this committee to hold up what is already being done in other committees, when there are other ways to work amongst colleagues in the various places that we sit in committee work. So I'd like I'd like to put that out as a friendly recommendation, although I do see Mr. Green's hand up. I know Ms. Hefner's hands up, and I leave to the will of the chair to decide how we move forward. But otherwise, we're going to be, I see there's more questions. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so I've not heard you formally move to adjourn debate on the issue, and so in the absence of that, I did see Mr. Villemure's hand up, and I will go to him first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask for a vote.
A vote for the question on the motion? Okay. So, there's still hands up. That's the problem that I have right now, Monsieur Villemure. Ça, c'est le problème que...
That's the problem. And I have a list of raised hands, and the debate will continue because there are people who would wish to speak to the motion. Next on the list, Ms. Hefner, Mr. Baines, and then Mr. Green.
Just a quick point of order, sir.
Go ahead with your point of order, ma'am.
On Zoom, it typically goes by the order of the hands, and you'll note
Okay.
that it is likely that my hand is up before Mr. Baines.
I see that now. Thank you for that, Matt. So, Mr. Green, so I'm going to go to Ms. Hefner and then Mr. Green after that, and then Mr. Baines. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Wanted to, I guess, underline that this seems to be happening a lot. I also sit on the Standing Committee for Canadian Heritage, and the same thing is happening where we're getting motions to study things that are already being studied almost to the word in other committees. And so I understand I'm a new member of Parliament, and maybe this is the way it should work, but it does seem to me that we're not being as efficient as committee members as we could be. We have different mandates in different committees, so I really don't understand how we keep getting these same studies to, like, the same witnesses, the same parameters. And I know that like my friend, Mr. Villemureau, you can sub out on other committees. You can appear on PROC. We've seen it happen many times. So I guess I'd just like more clarification. I've been really gratified to see how much you can accomplish on a parliamentary committee, and now I feel like we're just spinning wheels and it's a game or tactics or something. I don't understand. I would really like to accomplish more as a parliamentarian, and I feel if we're just doubling up all the same studies for tactics or whatever reason, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm hoping for better clarity before we move forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Hefner, and next we'll go to Mr. Green.
Mr. Chair, I just want to note on the topic of tactics that it is very clear a Liberal filibuster is underway on this particular topic. I'm not clear that adjourning this meeting will put us any closer to a vote. I know my friends in government have the ability to speak at length on a number of issues we're both related to and unrelated to, both repeating and new. So, you know, I'm glad that we were having this discussion in public, and I just want to go on the public record and say that for the people who are tuning in and watching with interest around foreign interference, I think that filibustering this motion does not serve to remove the type of cynicism that we're seeing in across the country, particularly in my community. And I'm sure we have another Hamilton MP there. I know that she will have likely heard a lot of feedback on, the importance of foreign interference. So, I'm not sure that an adjournment, even as was mentioned earlier, would get us any closer. I would see us right back into this as soon as it was re-entered. And I hope that, the committee will allow for a vote to happen so that we can move forward. But to talk about efficiency and then filibuster is a bit much for me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Baines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree, like everyone else. I believe this is an extremely important study, but I think we saw, even witnessed earlier today, we're doubling up on a similar study that's being done in another committee, and we saw maybe not the best use of our time in the first hour. And if I've made this comment before as well, if we look at the study that's being done in another committee, why not? And it looks like, as it was described by my colleague, with the amount of witnesses and all of the people that have been asked to come to join that committee and ask the important questions and answer the important questions, if we can look at what's coming out of that committee, what is the result, what is reported, and then if Monsieur Villemure has any, issues with gaps in the findings, the results from that, if the witnesses are not to the liking of this committee, then we can review those results and then come back to it and say, okay, we can now move to look at the study further. Right.
Okay.
So I just don't think it's the duplication of the work again is an issue if the findings are not something that we all can see that it's moving to that there's gaps again in something. So I would move to adjourn the committee and come back to this at a later time.
Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn, and when you say the committee, I assume you mean adjourn debate?
This meeting, sorry, this debate.
So that's non-debatable, so I'm going to ask the clerk to call a vote.
And the question is the meeting?
Adjourn the meeting? Sorry, Mr. Baines, just to be clear, did you say adjourn the meeting?
Adjourn the meeting for today and come back to it.
Okay. Go ahead.
The motion
Point
is...
of order? Point of order?
Go ahead, Mr. Green.
I'm just asking procedurally, is there a hard stop at 6:45 based on the technical requirements of this committee?
The clerk has been on this since we've extended beyond 6:30, and I haven't got an update on the resources available, but Madam Clerk, if you can provide that to Mr. Green, I would appreciate that.
Good, but there's a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Okay.
Shall I proceed with that?
I would, yes, I would proceed with the motion to adjourn and the vote on that. Thank you.
So the motion that was moved by Mr. Baines is to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Baines.
I vote yes.
Monsieur Fergus. Ms. Hefner. Mr. Dong. Ms. Sachs.
Oui.
Mr. Barrett.
Nay.
Monsieur Gourde. No. Mr. Couric.
I vote against the motion.
Monsieur Villemure.
Je vote contre.
Mr. Green.
I vote against the motion.
Mr. Chair, the result is 5-5.
I vote against. The meeting will continue. I did have Ms. Sachs first, and then to be followed by Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett, or sorry, Ms. Sachs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to just, if I may, respond to the comments of my colleague, Mr. Green. And as a matter of fact, that many colleagues in around the table talk about the spending that we do in this place and what it gets spent on, whether it's comments and critiques on visits abroad or so on and so forth. And yet we are so cavalier in the willingness to double up the high cost of House resources and the time of our interpreters and the clerk's time, to have to defend why at least the government side of my colleagues and myself do not want to double up the work of committees and actually do the work that Canadians want us to do. And do it in an efficient manner that gets to the heart of the issues at hand with strong recommendations to take back to the House. That's what Canadians want us to do, Mr. Chair. And to comments of my colleague, Mr. Green, who I respect immensely, he does great work. Really, if I am talking and debating that we don't spend extra resources of the House on work that is already being done, just for political, that really for these political points, rather than the real work of getting to the heart of the issue. When my colleague, Mr. Vermeer, has been offered alternatives that are well within the purview of committee work to get to the heart of the questions that he has. And it works both ways. Do we want to get work done in this committee? Do we want to see the questions that Canadians ask us answered? I've seen time and again, I sat on Heritage over a recent issue and just watched as the Francophone community, as the Jewish community, as many communities wanted really, really important answers from officials on what was a very upsetting process. And Conservatives filibustered for well over an hour and wasted the time of officials who took the time to come in to answer the questions of the public. So I would use caution in throwing stones of who is wasting time. I'm trying to make sure we don't waste money. I'm trying to make sure we don't waste resources. And you just voted against not wasting time and not wasting resources to have an entire new study brought up into a committee that's already being studied elsewhere. And this is already not the first time that this is being done in this committee room. And I see colleagues shaking their head, but let's have a frank and honest discussion about this. You wanted it in public. The public is seeing this, and the public is seeing that there is a willingness by the opposition to double up, triple up in cases, motions that are word for word the same with the exception of a semicolon or a letter, in order to waste time. So yeah, I will stand up for that. I will fight against wasting time on an entire new study when there is space in a committee to do this work, and that members of this committee could well use their time to ask the key questions and get the lens and perspective that they want at the appropriate place where these things are being studied. So, Mr. Chair, I express my deep and profound disappointment of my colleagues, of their unwillingness to understand that I came here to work on studies like the ATIP study. We've agreed to the ArriveCAN study, even though it's being studied in OGO. And yet opposition continues to waste the time of this committee doing actual work. So while my colleague, Mr. Green, may be frustrated in seeing repeated comments fighting against the wasting of House resources, I will say respectfully, sir, I don't want to see us wasting good taxpayer money on doubling and tripling up of studies. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Sachs, just for the update of the committee, I've been advised by the clerk that we do have interpretation for another 10 minutes. Mr. Barrett, you have the floor.
Chair, I'm not sure if there's some confusion about who moved the motion, but it wasn't the official opposition. But I keep hearing that the argument from the government members is against the Conservatives, and so I'm a little confused by that. I'm confused. They're saying that we're wasting time with the ArriveCAN study, and that we're bringing the same witnesses. I mean, I would ask which witnesses have appeared at OGO on ArriveCAN that appeared at ETHI. Where has that happened? And we haven't doubled up those witnesses, but it certainly could be germane to do so. And the witness today, who is here as the having received, CBSA said he got $8 million, the largest contract, one of the largest contracts awarded in a $54 million project. And then he said he got $100,000. So I don't know if that people thought that was a waste of time. I think that it's quite telling that CBSA thinks they spent $8 million and the vendor says they haven't billed them or received that much. So that raises serious questions. Ms. Sachs was talking about conservatives wasting time. We hadn't even intervened in this discussion. But frankly, it's quite an important issue. And so if this is a concern that this is wasting time, that studying foreign interference in our elections is wasting time, I disagree. And if Ms. Sachs isn't comfortable working past 6:30 at night, get a substitute. But, Mr. Chair, we're going to support this motion, and we're prepared to debate it until the end of resources. Should the filibuster and waste of time and resources by government members like Ms. Sachs continue, then we're prepared to continue this discussion into other meetings. But, it is certainly disappointing when people go and look for a disagreement when there wasn't one to be had to begin with.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barrett. I'm going to just tell everybody just to cool their jets a little bit here. We don't want to be getting into any sort of personal attacks on all sides. Let's keep it to the motion that's on the floor. And Mr. Fergus, you have the floor now on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to continue in the way that you just suggested to lower the temperature. And to Mr. Barrett, I would say that it is not. You were not responsible for this motion, and so nor the official opposition. So I certainly don't. Not pointing fingers at the official opposition. Just want to make that clear. However, not even a however. It's a separate statement. I think it is important that to talk about duplication of efforts, and I do think. The ArriveCAN study that we have, you are correct, and let the record show that there has not been a duplication of witnesses, but that doesn't mean that there's not a duplication of a whole bunch of resources, including, not the least of which is a member of Parliament's time. We just passed, for us to do this, duplicate studies cost money. We pass motions, routine motions of all committees whenever we engage in a study. Sometimes if there was travel, it would be very expensive. Even when we're just in the house, to have a duplicate study at this point costs at $9,000. That's just here, and that's not counting any of our time or the time of our staff who are paid from the resources of the people of Canada. I think it's just really important that we try to, as much as possible, if we're going to bring something new, then we bring something new. But as much as possible to make sure that we use all of our resources in the widest possible term, financial, time, intellectual, as efficiently as possible. And what we have here, and when there were, I have to admit, j'étais un peu déçu quand j'avais.
I was a little disappointed when I asked a question. I believe that the chair of the committee had arranged that the mover of the motion would respond to questions, legitimate questions and relevant questions that the committee members had in order to determine the real reason why this motion is different than another. And instead of taking the time to offer a reason, they proposed a motion to move to vote, even though others were interested in speaking. he should have responded before moving that motion. But listen, if we want to, or if we have a goal in mind and we want to go after that goal, regardless of the questions being asked around that initiative, I understand, but I think it would have been polite to at least respond to the relevant questions that we had first. How is this process different from the study being carried out in another committee? And secondly, are there things that we are discussing in PROC that are lacking and will not allow us to go sufficiently in depth in that matter? Everyone agrees that this file is supremely important. Our credibility is at risk. That's very important. And we want to ensure the integrity of our democratic institutions, and we are studying this. We started a study, and in fact, we extended the study, and we have broadened the scope of the mandate of the committee. What do we want to study here that's not already being studied there? And the door is open at PROC. If you want to add witnesses or pursue a specific angle, all of that is possible. So I don't understand what we're attempting to accomplish here. Is everyone okay? So it needs to be said. It's very important. But if you're not going to answer, well then, maybe we need to have a discussion outside of this committee to see what can be done so that we can meet your needs and examine your concerns and see if we can find a reasonable and amicable solution and see what we want to do. I think that's very important. And again, I am asking my colleagues to consider this, because playing political games will contribute to Canadians' cynicism towards our institutions. It's not in anyone's interest to do that. At PROC, we heard from Mr. Perrault, who is the Chief Electoral Officer of Elections Canada. He came not once, but twice to the committee. I was able to ask him many questions. Your colleague from the bloc, Ms. Gaudreau, was also there and also asked relevant questions in order to better frame the situation and to better understand what we were looking at. We invited the elections commissioner to speak to us because she is currently investigating the matter. These people need to come to committee But do we want to waste their time by having them come here to make the same opening remarks, answer the same questions, but just from different people? And what would be the cost for them to do that? And I'm not talking of financial cost. I'm saying, how will it take up their time to find out who is responsible for that foreign interference in our election? And how did that manifest in Canada? There is a cost to duplicating the work, and I don't think it's useful.
Je m'excuse, Monsieur,
Apologies, Mr. Fergus.
interrupting you because I was listening intently.
Thank you.
We have a situation with resources right now. So I am going to make the decision to adjourn this meeting, and we're going to have further discussion among the whips as to what the next steps are. But unfortunately, we're going to have to adjourn the meeting at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Fergus.
I'd like to confirm, Mr. Brassard, that, Mr. Chair, if I hadn't finished what I wanted to say, would I have the floor when we get back?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, and I'm sure the members will be intent on listening to what you have to say when we do return. And I apologize to the committee, but resources being as thin as they are, this is the situation that we are in. I am going to adjourn this meeting.